Snow tapped against the deck rails of my mountain villa, steady and cold. I had barely stepped outside when the memory hit, sharp, fast, unforgiving. The kind that doesn't fade with time. It comes back word for word. Last Christmas. I walked into Evan and Lila's house carrying a small tin of ginger cookies. The room was loud with holiday chatter, chairs moving, glasses clinking, people greeting each other. I barely had a chance to breathe before Evan brushed past me, smiling for everyone else. His hand touched my elbow lightly. His head dipped toward my ear. "I'm uncomfortable when you're here, Mom." The words slid in like a blade. No pause, no emotion, just a cold whisper hidden under the sound of silverware. His hand dropped from me immediately, as if touching me had been an inconvenience. I blinked at him. "Evan, what did you just say?" He kept his smile pointed at the other guests. "Just try not to draw attention tonight, please." Margot swept in behind him, her coat still on. "Theresa, dear, maybe don't sit at the big table. There's a smaller one near the hallway, more comfortable for you." I opened my mouth, but Lila stepped forward, holding her stomach gently. "Could you avoid perfumes next time? They make me nauseous. I hope you understand." I stood there holding my tin while the three of them moved on as if dismissing a server. No one looked back at me. The next day, the invitation never came. No call, no message, just photos online. Evan carving a roast, Lila laughing with her parents, Margot leading a toast. 12 chairs, 12 plates, mine missing. So I bought a villa. Every dollar I saved for years went into Pinecrest Summit, a place where no one whispered me out of a room. On my first morning here, I snapped a simple photo of the deck and posted it. The replies arrived instantly. Evan, "Perfect. Lila can use this place for the baby shower." Lila, "Yes, the lighting is amazing for photos." Margot, "Finally, a family property worth having." I stared at the screen. "Family property?" I typed, "I bought this for myself." 3 dots appeared. Then Evan again. "Mom, don't make this complicated." Lila followed. "It'll be safer for the baby if we handle the villa." Margot closed it out. "We'll help you manage it. You've always struggled." Snow kept falling on the deck, quiet and steady. Nothing like the noise they made inside my phone. They weren't congratulating me. They were circling. The morning light hit the kitchen counter of the villa, clean and bright. I placed my phone next to a stack of unopened boxes and tried to start a normal day. It lasted 2 minutes. Evan's message popped up first. "Mom, it's better if you spend the holidays quietly, less pressure for everyone." I tapped the counter once. I already made my plans. Another bubble appeared. "Don't arrange anything yet. We'll help." Help, that word again. Before I could put the phone down, another knock came at the front door. Light, familiar, nothing like the pounding I'd get later in the story. I opened it for the only person whose presence didn't make me tense. Nana Evelyn stepped inside immediately. "I figured you'd need company. Holidays can be loud even when they're quiet." I took her coat and poured her a cup of tea. Her eyes moved across the room, steady and knowing. "You bought this place fast." "I bought it after what happened," I responded. She lowered herself into a chair. "Tell me." I rested my hands on the back of the opposite chair. "Evan whispered into my ear last Christmas. You know the line." Her face tightened. "He really said it?" I nodded. "Word for word." Evelyn placed her cup down slowly. "That wasn't a slip. That was intentional." My phone buzzed again. Lila this time. "We'll bring over some things for the villa later. Neutral colors. Better for the baby shower theme." I turned the screen so Evelyn could see it. "She's not decorating," Evelyn muttered. "She's moving in." Before I could reply, another bubble showed up. Evan, "Mom, don't overthink. Just let us handle the details." Then Margot's message, crisp and precise. "A place like that shouldn't stay empty. Young families need room." I tightened my grip on the phone. "They think the villa belongs to them." Evelyn leaned forward. "They've spent years training you to step aside. They assume you'll step aside again." I took a slow breath. Not this time. Another message arrived. Evan. Also, we need to revisit our talk about you living alone. It's becoming unsafe. My jaw locked. Evelyn leaned closer. Unsafe how? I scrolled down. Evan, a guardianship review might make things easier. Less responsibility for you. Evelyn's voice sharpened. Guardianship? He wants legal control. I kept my eyes on the screen. He hinted at it before, years ago. When? At a barbecue. He touched my arm and told me not to stress myself. Margot nodded like a judge confirming a sentence. I paused. I ignored it. You can't ignore it now. I nodded. I won't. My phone buzzed once more. Lila again. We'll stop by tonight. Don't lock the door. We don't want to wake you. I locked the door instantly. The sound was firm and solid. Good, Evelyn murmured. A truck drove past the villa slowly. Pinecrest Ridge Community Services. A reminder that I had moved somewhere people looked out for each other, not over each other. I stepped onto the front porch for a moment. The air was cold and simple. I needed the simplicity. My family had spent years twisting everything into something complicated. The phone vibrated again. Margot, you make things harder than they need to be. We're offering support. Evelyn followed me outside. Support doesn't sound like that. That sounds like a takeover. It started long before the villa, I muttered. Then let's trace it. We sat on the porch bench. When did they begin treating you like you couldn't manage your own life? She asked. I looked at the snow stacking on the wood planks. 10 years ago. Evan started correcting me in front of people. Mom gets overwhelmed easily. That line. Evelyn groaned. I remember that. At Thanksgiving, 12 people sitting there staring at you like you were broken. Then Margot told me to avoid cooking too much because I lose track of time. My voice stayed flat. I wasn't reliving it. I was reporting it like evidence. Lila started sending me articles about aging safely. Evelyn crossed her arms. They weren't worried. They were prepping a narrative. My phone rang. Evan again. I let it ring. A text followed seconds later. Mom, this isn't a battle. Let us take care of the villa. You can still visit. Visit. My own home. I typed one sentence. I'm not handing over anything. 3 dots flickered, then disappeared, then flickered again. Finally. Mom, don't be stubborn. I showed the message to Evelyn. She pushed her glasses up. Everything they write has one goal. Push you out and move themselves in. They think I won't fight back. That's your advantage, she whispered. They don't know you're paying attention. Another vibration. A group message this time. Lila, we already picked paint samples for the nursery area. Cream tones. Very calm. Margot, we'll order new locks. Smart ones. You won't need to handle them yourself. Evan, we can start the transition this weekend. Transition? Evelyn repeated. They're planning a full move-in. I stood. Not on my property. Evelyn touched my arm. Then start documenting everything. Every message, every call, every unannounced visit. I already started, I replied. Last night. Good. Keep going. She looked toward the snow-covered driveway. They're going to push harder. My phone chimed again. Evan, we're driving up later to bring supplies. I typed back, Don't. I won't open the door. The response came instantly. You won't need to. Evelyn's eyes narrowed. What does that mean? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I could already feel the next move coming, the same pattern they always used. Pressure, intrusion, possession. I stepped back inside the villa and locked the door again. My fingers stayed on the metal a moment longer. They weren't checking on me, they were circling me, and they were closing in. The third morning in the villa started with vibration after vibration on my phone. No greetings, no questions, no respect. Evan, Mom, I made a yearly plan for how we'll use the villa. I'll explain it later. I stood in front of the kitchen counter. There is no we. I handle my own property. His response arrived instantly. Stop fighting everything. You need structure. Another bubble popped up before I could lock the screen. Margot, a mountain property should support a young family. You sitting up there alone is wasteful. Then Lila stepped in, exactly on cue. We want to do a gender reveal here. The lighting is perfect. I walked to the dining table, phone in hand. Before I sat down, another message followed. Evan, Mom, don't start. Let us handle the events. We know how to organize. I typed back. I'm not hosting anything. 3 dots flickered. Then, just let us do one thing right. I placed the phone down. Not even 5 seconds passed. Lila, I found decor ideas for the villa. Soft colors, very fresh. A stream of photos loaded. Balloons, ribbons, floral arches. I deleted every image. Then Margot's message hit. You need safer locks. I'll have a locksmith upgrade them. My hand froze above the screen. Why are you touching my locks? Her reply came fast. You're older, Theresa. Smart locks protect you. We'll manage the access. I walked straight to the front door and locked it twice. A call flashed across the screen. Evan. I ignored it. It rang again, then again. A text followed. Pick up. This is important. I declined. Another bubble. You can't handle the villa alone. Let us transition into helping permanently. Transition into my home. Before I could respond, Lila sent a new message. We'll drive up later. We bought storage bins. We'll start organizing. I typed one line. Do not come. Evan replied immediately. You don't decide what help looks like. I set the phone down. It vibrated again. Margot, once the baby is here, the villa needs to be clean and structured. You can't keep it to yourself. Think of stability. Then Lila. We already chose paint for the nursery corner. Neutral shades. Nursery corner. In my house. I returned to the table and texted, There is no nursery here. Evan's reply came with no break. Don't be difficult. I stared at the message until the next one dropped. You're not using the villa correctly. Young families need space. You don't. The phone buzzed nonstop. A voicemail notification appeared. I pressed play. Evan's voice, low and clipped. Mom, you're making everything harder. If you can't maintain the place, we will. Stop resisting. I ended the voicemail and opened my messages again. Lila, we'll need to bring our decorator soon. She has plans. Plans. For my living room. Another message. Margot. A mountain villa is too demanding for someone your age. You should be grateful we're stepping in. I typed back. I'm fully capable. Do not interfere. Evan's reply dropped fast. You're ignoring reality. You shouldn't be alone up there. We'll take over responsibilities. I walked to the window overlooking the driveway. Everything was quiet, empty, but my phone wasn't. A group message arrived. Margot. We'll start with the kitchen. It needs a younger touch. Lila. We can move your things into storage. It'll be easier for you. Evan. Be ready when we get there. Don't make us wait. I typed slowly. You're not coming inside. Lila. We'll use the spare key. I straightened. There is no spare key. 3 dots. Then, I'll bring the locksmith. I nearly laughed. They wanted my home so badly, they didn't even try to hide it anymore. Another message from Evan hit the screen. Mom, let us do this. You always mess up details. We'll manage everything. Then Margot entered again like the final hammer. You are lucky we're taking this burden from you. And I responded, It's not yours to take. A longer pause this time, then, Evan, don't force us into a harder route. I stared at that line. The threat wasn't subtle. It never was. My phone buzzed again. Lila. The decorator needs measurements. Send photos of the living room. I didn't answer. Margot. Ignoring messages doesn't change the plan. Evan. We're arriving soon. Keep your schedule clear. I texted. Do not come to my property without permission. Evan. It's family property. My jaw locked. It is not. Another message hit immediately. "Mom, you don't understand how this works. Just let us in." I walked back toward the kitchen counter. Lila sent another photo, this time of shelving units. "These will help organize the baby's things." I typed, "Nothing for a baby is coming into this house." Her reply came instantly. "You have to think of the child." Then Evan again. "Stop pretending you know what's best. We'll take care of everything." A final text from Margot finished the barrage. "We've been patient, but this is happening. You can't manage a villa alone at your age. Let the capable people take over." I replied with one sentence. "I see exactly what you're doing." No one responded for a full minute. Then Evan. "Good. Then stop fighting." Another vibration. "Mom, you'll still be welcome to visit." Visit? My own property? My home? The next message hit harder than any before. "You don't belong up there alone. We do." I looked around the villa. The boxes, the quiet, the clean space, the sturdy walls. Everything I had paid for, chosen, built. They didn't want to share it. They wanted to take it. And every message they sent confirmed it. This wasn't concern. This wasn't care. This was a coordinated attempt to claim my home, and they were almost ready to move in. I sat at the small table in the villa, my phone face down, the screen still lit from their last round of messages. It didn't hit me all at once, but I knew this. What they were doing now wasn't new. It was just louder, clearer. A pattern I had ignored for years. The first memory came back clean, without emotion. 10 years ago, Evan had hosted Thanksgiving. I arrived early with 2 homemade pies. He opened the door, glancing behind me instead of at me. "Mom, don't bring too much. You overwhelm easily." I laughed it off at the time. "It's just pie." Margot stepped into the doorway. "He's right. You get tired. We'll handle everything today." I walked into the house carrying both pies anyway. Margot lifted them from my hands quickly. "We'll put these somewhere. Don't worry about it." The pies never made it to the table that night. I didn't push back. Another memory landed right after that one. Christmas, 3 years before the whispered insult. 12 people around a large table. Lila's parents, Margot's sister, even co-workers. I stood near the end of the table holding a bowl of roasted carrots. Evan reached for the carrots, then paused. "Mom gets overwhelmed easily. Let's put these over here so she doesn't have to manage it." Lila nodded, touching her shoulder lightly. "It's okay. We'll keep things simple." Margot looked around the table. "She's fragile. She doesn't do well with too much noise." I stood there, bowl in hand, in a room full of people watching me like I needed supervision. No one offered me a seat at the main table. Someone pointed to a smaller one near the wall. "That spot's better for you," Margot directed. "Less stimulation." I sat alone. It wasn't sadness I remembered. It was the clarity. The awareness that they weren't treating me like family. They were handling me like a problem. Another memory followed. Evan visiting my home unexpectedly. He walked through my living room, opening cabinets. "Mom, do you even remember where your medication is?" "I don't take anything," I told him. He tapped the counter lightly. "You should. I'll check with Margot. She has your medical files." I froze. Why does she have my files? "So she can monitor things." I didn't argue. I didn't demand answers. I just let it pass. 1 year later, at a summer barbecue, Lila approached me while Evan grilled outside. She handed me a pamphlet. "This is about aging safely. Just look it over. Don't stress." Margot stepped beside her. "We've been talking. Maybe you shouldn't drive at night anymore." I kept my face neutral. "I drive fine." "Stubbornness isn't strength, Theresa." That line repeated in different versions for years. Eventually it felt normal. Until now, when the pattern became impossible to ignore. The final memory that resurfaced was the worst one before last Christmas. Evan had hosted a birthday dinner for his coworker. 12 guests. I wasn't supposed to come, but he invited me anyway at the last minute. When I stepped in, Margot immediately blocked my path with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Theresa, honey, don't hover. Let us take care of everything." I stepped back. "I'm just putting down the gift." Lila appeared beside her. "You get flustered in crowds. Maybe sit in the living room? It's quieter." I looked at Evan. He nodded as if approving the arrangement. "You'll be more comfortable away from the noise." I sat alone on the living room couch while the rest of them ate at the table. Their laughter carried through the doorway while I looked down at the untouched plate in my lap. Every time I tried to join the group, someone intercepted me. "It's too busy in here. Don't strain yourself. Let us handle the serving." I wasn't part of the family. I was being managed, positioned, kept out of sight, and I had let it happen. Now, sitting in my villa, the pattern lined up perfectly. Their messages, their pressure, their entitlement. It wasn't sudden, it wasn't new, it was the same tactic, control disguised as concern, just scaled up to my entire property. A vibration shook the table. A new message from Evan. "Mom, don't make us repeat ourselves. We'll take care of the heavy things. You focus on resting." Resting. The word they always used before taking something away. Another message came from Margot. "You don't understand how much work a villa requires. You can't manage it responsibly." Then Lila. "We already talked about this as a family. You're safer if we lead." A family. Without me. I locked my phone and stared at the unopened boxes in the corner. They weren't random. They held everything I had chosen for my new life. Simple, quiet, independent. My family had spent a decade pushing me to the edges of every room, every holiday, every decision, until they were confident I wouldn't push back. But the villa changed something. I wasn't sitting at the small table anymore. I wasn't eating alone in the living room. I wasn't being shuffled to a quieter corner. And for the first time in 10 years, I wasn't stepping aside. The villa was quiet the evening it happened. I was chopping vegetables for a simple Christmas Eve dinner when the first sound reached me. Tires grinding over snow. Slow, heavy, not a neighbor. I walked to the window. A black SUV crawled up the driveway, followed by a second vehicle with no plates on the front. The kind you see contractors drive. My stomach didn't drop. I didn't panic. I just watched. Doors opened one by one. Evan stepped out first, jaw tight. Lila followed, one hand under her belly. Then Margot emerged, coat wrapped around her shoulders like she owned the mountain. And then, one more figure, a stranger carrying a large tool bag, a locksmith. My phone vibrated before they even reached the porch. "Evan, Mom, open the door. We're here." I didn't move. He knocked hard, twice. "Mom, don't make this a thing. Open up." I clicked the lock once more, not to taunt them, just to confirm my boundary. Lila's voice rose from the other side. "We brought things for the villa. Cayenne. You'll love how it looks." Margot stepped closer. Her tone sliced through the wood. "Theresa, stop being difficult. Let the man work." I looked through the smart camera feed on my phone. All four stood crowded at the door, snow on their boots, breath visible in the cold. The locksmith knelt beside the lock, reaching into his bag. Evan pointed at the door. "We're having it changed. Don't fight this." I turned on the smart doorbell microphone. "This is private property. Leave immediately." Evan jerked his head toward the camera. "Mom, you don't know what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing," I responded through the speaker. Margot raised her chin. "Theresa, you're unstable right now. Let him change the lock so we can keep you safe." I recorded everything automatically. Their faces, their voices, the locksmith's tools. Evan knocked again, louder. "Mom, open the door before this gets embarrassing." I clicked the deadbolt firmly. The sound traveled through the door. The locksmith looked up at Evan. "Which lock am I replacing?" "All of them," Evan replied without hesitation. Margot stepped forward. "Start with the deadbolt. She shouldn't be locking herself away." I opened the camera feed wider. "You are trespassing. Leave." Evan exhaled sharply. "You're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking more clearly than you ever expected." Lila stepped closer to the camera. "If you cared about the baby, you'd let us in." That line wasn't new. It was just louder than before. I tapped my phone and texted Deputy Cole Maddox. "They brought a locksmith." His reply appeared instantly. "Do not engage. I'm on my way." Outside, the locksmith placed a drill bit against my lock. I activated the doorbell speaker again. "If you touch that lock, you will be reported for attempted forced entry." Evan snapped, "Mom, stop recording us." "I will not." Margot crossed her arms. "We're helping you. You're making this dramatic." "You came uninvited," I answered. "With a locksmith." Evan pointed at the tool bag. "We're changing the locks for Lila's safety. Snow is coming down hard. She shouldn't be walking into an unsecured house." I stared at the feed. "This house is secure. The problem is at the door." He hit the frame with an open palm. "Enough! Let us in!" Lila flinched, stepping back. Margot pulled her close. "Sweetheart, she always does this. She spirals." I recorded every word. The locksmith tried again. "I need to know which lock—" "Start drilling," Evan interrupted. "She'll thank us later." I zoomed in on his face. "You don't get to decide what I thank you for." Evan lunged toward the camera. "Mom, open the door." "I already told you no." He threw his hands up. "She's confused." Margot muttered, "We warned her. She never listens." Lila touched her belly. "I don't want to bring the baby into this chaos." Chaos. They brought the locksmith. They brought the chaos, not me. Suddenly, blue and red lights washed over the snow. The locksmith froze mid-reach. A patrol SUV blocked their car in. Deputy Cole stepped out, coat zipped, boots crunching across the driveway. He stopped at the porch. "Everyone step away from the door." Evan turned fast. "Officer, she's confused. She won't let us help." Cole kept his tone level. "This is private property owned by Pinecrest Haven LLC. None of you are authorized to enter." Margot lifted her chin. "Officer, she's unstable. We're acting for her safety." Cole didn't blink. "Your opinions about her stability don't override property rights." I watched him on the screen, steady and unmoving. Evan pointed to the locksmith. "We hired him to secure the house." Cole motioned to the drill. "If he touches that lock, he will be detained." The locksmith backed away immediately, hands lifted. "Not worth it." Lila stepped forward weakly. "We just want what's best. She shouldn't be alone." Cole stayed focused. "She called me. She is not alone." Evan scoffed. "She calls over nothing." Cole stepped closer. "She calls when you trespass. All of you need to leave." Margot's face twisted. "You don't understand the family dynamic." "I understand the law," Cole replied. "Leave the property." Evan clenched his jaw. "We'll be back. This isn't over." Cole didn't move. "It is for tonight." Margot pulled her coat tighter. "Theresa, you're only making this harder." I lifted the microphone. "The only thing hard is you accepting the word no." Evan glared at the camera. "Mom, don't push us." Cole stepped between them and the door. "You're done here. Get in your vehicles." The locksmith left first, practically jogging to his van. Lila followed, shoulders tight and eyes down. Margot guided her carefully. Evan stayed one extra moment, staring at the door as if he could will it open. Then he turned and walked back into the cold. I watched the camera feed until their cars disappeared down the ridge. Cole looked up at the lens. "You did the right thing calling me." "I know," I responded through the speaker. The villa went quiet again, quiet in the way you hear after a slammed door, not after peace. Their first attempt failed, and I knew they wouldn't wait long before trying again. Deputy Cole stayed on the porch until the last taillight faded down the ridge. Only then did he approach the camera again, boots leaving clean marks in the snow. "Theresa, you can open if you want. They're gone." I unlocked the door and let him step inside. Cold air rushed in with him. He scanned the entryway quickly. "They brought a locksmith without your permission. That's a property rights violation." "I recorded everything," I answered, lifting my phone. "Every word, every angle." "Good. You'll need it." He adjusted his radio. "They'll try something else. People who push this far never stop at one attempt." I nodded once. "I'm aware." Cole lowered his voice. "Call me the second they show up again. Don't open the door. Don't confront them alone." "I won't." Before leaving, he tapped the porch rail. "Get cameras on every entry point. Front, back, garage. Audio too." "I will tonight." He gave a short nod and walked back into the snow. The moment the door clicked shut behind him, the villa fell silent again. But this time it wasn't the silence of fear. It was the silence before strategy. I took out my laptop and opened a new folder. Christmas Invasion. Evidence. Every clip, every screenshot, every voice message went inside it. Date stamped, labeled, numbered. Then I typed a name into my contacts. Attorney Rachel Kerrigan, Silver Glen. She picked up within 2 rings. Theresa, I got your message. What happened? They came with a locksmith. Her voice hardened. Did the locksmith touch the lock? He tried. Did you record it? Every second. Good. You'll send me all footage tonight. I already created a folder. Excellent. Now listen closely, she continued, her tone tight. Do not respond to any message from them unless it is absolutely necessary. Every word you write can be used against you. You speak to them only through the law. Understood? Yes. You'll also need to document all attempts to access your property. That includes the voicemail, the threats, any pressured language. Keep everything. I have it all. No trespass order is the next step, she continued. We'll prepare that as soon as I review the footage. I opened the drawer near the entryway and pulled out a notebook. I'll log everything. Good. And Theresa, don't underestimate the narrative they're building. Families like that don't escalate out of nowhere. They've been preparing a story. You need proof stronger than their narrative. I'm building it. Send everything by midnight. I will. After the call ended, I grabbed my coat and stepped outside. The cold bit at my face, but I focused on the task. I mounted a camera above the back door, angled toward the path Evan had used earlier that week, then another above the garage, then one facing the driveway. Red lights blinked to life, quiet, watchful, ready. Inside, I played the voicemail Evan left. Mom, if you can't take care of the villa properly, we will. I clipped the audio and saved the file. Then another one. We're helping you. Stop resisting. Save. Then the line from Margot. You can't manage this alone at your age. Save. I organized them all. Evidence didn't care about tone or excuses. It cared about patterns. Another vibration hit my phone, this time an email alert. USPS. Mail forwarding request initiated. Pending verification. They were trying to redirect my mail. I opened the forwarding request details. Evan's name, Lila's email, their home address listed as the return location. I screenshotted everything. Then I texted Rachel. They attempted to forward my mail. Her response came in seconds. Serious. Screenshot all of it. Print if you can. Do not contact them. This qualifies as interference. I saved everything. Good, she replied. We're filing a cease and desist tomorrow. I sat at the kitchen table and started printing each screenshot. One by one, pages slid out of the small printer. Email headers, USPS warnings, their names, their attempt. Another notification appeared on my screen, security cameras picking up motion by the mailbox. I clicked the feed open. A figure leaned toward the community mailbox cluster. Hood up, moving quickly. I zoomed in. Evan's father, Greg. He slid a document inside my P.O. box slot, then glanced around before walking back toward his truck. I hit record, then screenshot, then printed. Another message to Rachel. Greg placed a document inside my mailbox at 2:11 a.m. Her reply, send footage, now. I forwarded all of it. Within minutes, she called. This is a coordinated attempt to establish residency claims, she stated. They're trying to create a paper trail. We're shutting it down immediately. Tell me what to do next. You'll keep cameras running 24/7. You'll store all files on external backup. You'll avoid direct contact. And if they show up again, you call Deputy Maddox before you call anyone else. I understand. One more thing, she added. Do not leave the villa unattended for long periods. They're looking for an opening. I won't give them one. After the call ended, I set the printed papers into a labeled binder. Mail fraud attempt. Deck 24. Then I wrote the list exactly as Rachel instructed. Save all footage. Document all messages. Log all visits. Avoid confrontation. Call deputy first. Send evidence nightly. I closed the notebook. The villa was still quiet, but the quiet no longer felt like being pushed out. It felt like preparation. Another message arrived from Evan. "Mom, after thinking about it, we're coming tomorrow to finish what we started." I didn't respond. Another from Margot. "You're making this harder for no reason." Then Lila. "This is already decided." I blocked none of them. I needed the messages. I simply typed, "Every attempt will be documented." 3 dots blinked, then went still. No reply. I stood, checked each camera feed again, and locked the door one last time for the night. The deadbolt clicked into place, firm, controlled. The next afternoon, the villa felt too still. I had spent the morning installing the last camera above the back steps and labeling new evidence folders. By noon, I needed a break, a real one. I stepped outside and walked toward the Pinecrest Ridge cul-de-sac. Carmen Lewis spotted me first from her porch. "Theresa, you're out early. Come in a minute." Her voice carried warmth I hadn't heard from family in years. I walked up her steps, and she opened the door wider. "Hot cocoa's already made," she added, motioning toward the kitchen. Inside, the air smelled like cinnamon and melting chocolate. Nolan Rivers sat at the table adjusting a lamp. Jolene Carter and Dave Mulligan were sorting cookies onto a plate. Jolene waved. "We've been waiting to meet you properly." Dave pushed the cookies forward. "Grab one. The chocolate ones are the best." I took a seat, and Carmen placed a mug in front of me. "You look like you've had a week." I let out a slow breath. "My family came here last night, unannounced, with a locksmith." All 4 of them froze. Nolan leaned forward. "A locksmith? As in, to get in?" "Yes." Jolene set down her cookie. "You didn't open the door, right?" "No, I recorded everything." Carmen's brows tightened. "Good. You keep that camera on them. They don't sound like people who take no for an answer." Dave exhaled. "I saw a black SUV go up your drive a few days ago. Thought it looked entitled. Guess I was right." I nodded. "They've been pressuring me since I bought the villa. Messages nonstop, plans they made without me." Carmen crossed her arms. "Let me guess. We're helping you." I huffed lightly. "That's exactly what they said." Nolan tapped the table. "That's not help. That's takeover behavior." Jolene leaned in. "What did they want the locksmith for?" "To change my locks." All 4 stared at me in disbelief. Dave muttered, "Not even subtle." Carmen placed her hand on my arm. "I'm glad you called the deputy. He told them to leave." "Good," Nolan added. "Cole doesn't play around with property rights." I sipped my cocoa. The warmth of it settled fast. Not dramatic, not symbolic. Just warm, human. Carmen asked, "Did they come because of Christmas?" "No," I replied. "They came because they think the villa belongs to them." Jolene blinked. "Did you tell them no?" "I told them clearly. They ignored it." Dave scoffed. "Figures." Carmen took a deep breath. "Theresa, I'm going to be honest. We see this kind of thing in the Ridge sometimes. Families thinking they can control whoever's weaker. But you're not weak." "I know. And you're not alone," she added. "Remember that." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again on the table. Evan. "Mom, stop escalating things. We're coming tonight." Carmen saw the notification. "They're coming back?" "Yes." Nolan frowned. "Don't let them in. At all." "I won't." Another message arrived. "Lila, we'll just drop off some decor items. You don't need to be present." Jolene rolled her eyes. "Classic maneuver. We'll drop off items means we'll get inside." Dave nodded. "Yeah, don't fall for that." Carmen squeezed my hand gently. "You block them if you need to." "I need the messages for evidence." "Right," she acknowledged. "Then just don't respond." I placed the phone face down. Nolan cleared his throat. "Listen, we know each other here. People look out for one another. You're not going through this without support." "Thank you," I replied. "Really." Carmen pushed a bowl of marshmallows closer. "Eat something. Stress drains you. I took one and softened. Not because of sentiment, just because it had been hours since I ate anything. Dave glanced toward the window. Your villa lights look good from here. Cozy. I nodded. It's the first place I've had to myself in years. Well, you deserve it, Jolene said. You're not an accessory in someone else's house. You're a homeowner here, Carmen added. And Pinecrest Ridge doesn't forget people. Ever. Her tone was firm, confident. Not pity. Solid ground. I breathed in slowly. You're all much kinder than my own family. Nolan shrugged. Kindness isn't hard. Respect isn't hard. They're choosing not to give either. Dave raised his mug. Well, you've got respect here. Carmen nodded. And backup. Backup? I repeated. We're your neighbors, she replied. If they show up again, text the group chat. We'll be outside in a heartbeat. Jolene grinned. And trust me, people don't like causing scenes in front of witnesses. Dave added, especially when those witnesses live 30 feet away. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. That means more than you know. Another vibration hit the table. Margot. Your stubbornness is becoming a problem. We'll resolve it in person. Carmen scoffed. She sounds like she's ordering a maid. She's been like that for years, I replied. Jolene crossed her arms. Theresa, you don't owe that woman anything. Not access, not explanations. Nolan stood and grabbed his coat. Walk you home. They're not getting near you today. You don't have to. I want to, he interrupted, and it's common sense. Carmen helped me gather my things. Tomorrow night we're hosting hot cocoa night for the Ridge. You better come. You need more people in your corner. I'll be there. Dave held the door open as we stepped outside. Text if anything happens. I will. Nolan walked beside me down the snowy sidewalk. You're handling this smart. Cameras, lawyer, deputy. That's how you win. I'm trying. You're doing more than trying. He glanced toward the villa. They'll push harder. People like that always do. I know. But they haven't realized something yet. What's that? You're not the same woman they managed 10 years ago. We reached my porch. I unlocked the door. Nolan paused. You have people here now. Don't forget that. I won't. He headed back down the path. I stepped inside, locked the door, and checked the cameras again. Everything was still. For the first time in days, the quiet didn't feel like waiting for an attack. It felt like preparation. And this time, I had a community behind me. Christmas Eve settled over Pinecrest Summit with a thin layer of snow, the kind that collects in clean lines along the railings. I kept the villa lights warm, not festive, just enough to see the rooms clearly on the cameras. After everything that had happened, clarity mattered more than decoration. I finished arranging a simple dinner plate when my phone buzzed. Evan. Mom, we'll stop by later. Don't make this complicated. I locked the door immediately. No. A second message arrived. Lila. We just want to drop off baby-friendly decor. You don't have to come to the door. And Margot followed. You're acting unreasonable. Open the door when we arrive. I placed the phone on the counter face down. They weren't getting in. The doorbell camera blinked, scanning the porch. No movement yet. Still, I walked through the villa, checking every lock twice, then reviewing each camera angle. The one aimed at the driveway caught drifting snow and the faint outline of the winding road. My phone vibrated again, this time a video call from Nana Evelyn. I answered. She appeared on the screen wrapped in a thick sweater. You look alert. They said they're coming tonight. Her eyes narrowed. They won't stop until they get what they want. I know. Listen to me, she continued. Don't let them take your peace again. Last year they humiliated you. This year you have proof, allies, and authority. Use all three. I will. Good. And don't open that door. I won't. She leaned closer. If they show up, call the deputy immediately. I already told him to expect it. Then let him do the talking. I nodded. I'm prepared. Before she hung up, she added, Theresa, remember, you're not the one causing trouble. You're the one drawing a line." When the call ended, I stood in front of the large window overlooking the ridge. The sky dimmed to a deep gray, and the last bit of light slipped behind the trees. Snow tapped gently against the glass. Not dramatic, not symbolic, just weather, and I paid attention to it because the villa sat high enough that sound traveled differently here. You could hear a car long before seeing it. I heated water for tea, keeping an eye on the driveway camera, still empty. Then my phone lit up again. "Evan." "We're 20 minutes away." I replied, "You are not allowed on my property." 3 dots. Then, "We'll see." I placed the phone in my pocket. If they came, they would have to deal with cameras, law enforcement, and a locked door they had no right to cross. I checked the smart doorbell speaker connecting properly and confirmed the cameras were recording in both HD and audio. Then I walked room to room, ensuring no curtains blocked the outside view. The deputy's words echoed clearly. "Visibility is power." 15 minutes later, a motion alert flashed across the top of my screen. Motion detected, driveway. I opened the feed immediately. Not a car, just the wind pushing snow across the lens. I exhaled slowly and reset my stance. No panic, no spiraling, just routine. Another vibration came, this time a voicemail notification. I pressed play. Evan's voice filled the kitchen. "Mom, stop hiding. We're coming whether you answer or not." Delete, save, file. A second voicemail arrived right after. "Margot, Theresa, you're making this difficult. We have responsibilities you can't handle. Open the door when we get there." Saved. A third. "Lila, please don't create drama. Think of the baby. We're trying to help." Saved. I collected all 3 files and added them to the folder Rachel instructed me to update daily. Then I sat at the kitchen table with a pen and wrote the timestamp of each voicemail in my notebook. It wasn't emotional, it was procedural. Another motion alert flashed. Motion detected, deck. I opened the video. Snow drifted across the boards, nothing else, but I still zoomed in to confirm there were no footprints. The villa's stillness wasn't peaceful. It was watchful, and I preferred it that way. I didn't want surprises, not on Christmas Eve, not after their last attempt. I reheated my tea and took a sip when another message arrived. "Evan, 10 minutes. I texted the deputy instantly. "They're coming." His reply came in under 5 seconds. "Stay inside. I'm on patrol nearby." I positioned myself behind the kitchen island where I could see the driveway camera feed without standing near the window. For several minutes, nothing happened. Then headlights appeared on the screen, 2 beams sweeping across the snow, climbing slowly up the ridge. I did not move closer. I didn't approach the door. I didn't flinch. The SUV stopped at the base of the porch, tires crunching over the frozen layer. 3 silhouettes stepped out, Evan, Lila, and Margot. Lila wore a heavy coat, one hand under her stomach. Evan carried a large tote bag. Margot clutched a folder. Evan knocked immediately. "Mom, open the door. We're not here to argue." I activated the doorbell speaker. "Leave the property." Margot stepped closer. "Theresa, be reasonable. Let us in so we can talk." "No." Evan lifted the tote. "We brought decor and supplies. Stop making this difficult." I didn't move. Lila took a step toward the camera. "Please don't do this. Just think of the baby." "You do not have permission to enter my home," I responded. Margot's tone sharpened. "You are not in a position to refuse us." I tapped the speaker again. "Leave." Evan looked toward the driveway. "She's trying to provoke us." Margot muttered, "She's been fragile for years." I kept recording. Another knock rattled the door. "Mom, we're not leaving until you open." I didn't respond. Lila glanced around nervously. "This is too much. It's Christmas Eve." Margot gripped her arm. "We're doing the responsible thing." Evan's voice rose. "Mom, if you don't open the door, we will—" Blue and red lights flashed across the snow before he finished the sentence. The patrol SUV pulled in fast. Deputy Cole stepped out, coat zipped high, expression firm. He approached the porch with controlled steps. Evan stiffened. Officer, we're trying to help. Cole raised a hand. Step back from the door. We're her family, Evan protested. And this is her property, Cole replied. You were warned once already. Margot lifted her folder. She's unstable tonight. We're acting in good faith. Cole didn't waver. You don't have legal authority here. Leave. Evan tried one last time. She doesn't understand what she needs. Cole turned his head toward the camera, his voice steady. Theresa, you're safe. They're leaving. I pressed the speaker. Thank you. Margot's irritation cracked through her voice. This isn't finished. Cole took one step closer. It is tonight. Evan exhaled sharply, turned toward the driveway and marched back to the SUV. Lila followed slowly. Margot trailed behind, stiff with offense. I watched them leave on every camera angle until their lights disappeared down the ridge. The villa went quiet again, not waiting, not fearful, ready. Christmas night settled into a deep quiet across Pinecrest Ridge, the kind of quiet that let every sound travel. I kept the villa lights low and stayed near the kitchen island, watching the camera feeds on my tablet. The earlier confrontation had drained nothing from them. They were going to try again. I could feel the pattern tightening. At 10:47 p.m., the driveway camera flashed a notification. Motion detected, driveway. I opened the feed instantly. 2 beams of headlights cut through the snow, climbing the ridge slowly. An SUV. Then another vehicle behind it, white, unmarked, commercial grade. A second locksmith. I tightened my grip on the tablet but stayed still, controlled. The SUV stopped exactly where Evan had parked earlier. 4 figures climbed out. Evan, Margot, Lila, and a man with a large drill case slung over his shoulder. My phone vibrated. Evan, Mom, this is happening tonight. Don't drag this out. I didn't answer. Another message followed. You should have opened the door earlier. We tried to be polite. Polite wasn't the word. The porch camera captured them approaching. Their boots hit the steps in sharp, heavy thuds. Lila adjusted her coat around her belly. Margot straightened her collar. Evan motioned for the locksmith to kneel at the door. I activated the smart doorbell speaker. Leave the property. Evan looked straight into the lens. Mom, stop this. We're here to fix things. No entry, leave. The locksmith knelt and opened his drill case. Margot stepped forward. Theresa, don't make a scene. Let him change the lock. I zoomed the camera directly onto her face. You are trespassing. She rolled her eyes. You are confused. This house isn't safe for you alone. We're helping. Lila clutched her stomach. Please, don't do this. You're stressing me. I recorded everything. The locksmith lifted a power drill. Which lock am I replacing? All of them, Evan instructed. I captured every second on video. Margot chimed in. Start with the deadbolt. I raised my voice through the speaker. If you drill that lock, I will report forced entry. The locksmith hesitated, looked at Evan, and Evan snapped, Do it! She can't stop this! I tapped my phone and messaged Deputy Cole. They brought another locksmith. His response came instantly. Stay away from the door. I'm en route. Outside, Evan pounded the door with his fist. Mom, open up before this gets ugly. I didn't move. Margot joined in. Stop recording us. You're being ridiculous. I will not. Lila stepped forward, breath visible. If you cared about your grandchild, you'd open the door. I zoomed in on her. Emotional pressure won't work. Evan hit the door again. Let us in. No. He gestured toward the locksmith. Start drilling. The drill motor whirred to life. I lifted the microphone. Touch that lock and you will face charges. Evan threw his arms out. You can't charge your own son. I can record him committing a crime. Margot snapped toward the lens. Theresa, you don't understand the family dynamic. I understand the law. Snow crunched behind them. Red and blue lights burst across the driveway. The drill stopped instantly. Deputy Cole's patrol SUV pulled in hard, blocking the vehicles. He stepped out, one hand on his belt, scanning the scene. Everyone away from the door, he ordered sharply. Evan lifted his hands. Officer, she's unstable. She won't let us help. Cole didn't blink. The owner called me. Step back. Margot moved closer. She's not thinking clearly. Cole turned to her. Your assessment is irrelevant. Step away. The locksmith stood, hands raised. I didn't touch anything. They hired me for a lock replacement. Cole motioned him back. You picked the wrong job. Leave. The locksmith closed his case quickly and retreated to his van. Margot glared. Officer, you are overstepping. This is a family matter. No, Cole responded firm. This is a property matter, and you're trespassing. Evan's jaw clenched. We're trying to secure the house. Cole stepped onto the porch. It is already secure by her. Lila looked between Evan and Cole nervously. We just want to check the house. She won't let us. Cole shook his head. She doesn't have to. Leave the property. Evan pointed at the camera. She's provoking us. No, Cole corrected. She's documenting you. Margot tightened her grip on Lila's arm. Theresa, stop this now. We're handling responsibilities you can't, I replied through the speaker. You have no responsibilities here. Evan took a step forward. Mom, you're making us look aggressive. You are aggressive. Cole stepped between them. Last warning, get off the porch. Evan froze, breathing hard. We'll file something. You can't stop us. Cole didn't move. Leave, now. Margot's voice cut through the cold air. This isn't over. Cole turned his head. It is tonight. They backed off, slow, bitter, unwilling. Evan grabbed the tote bag he'd brought and threw it into the SUV. Lila wiped her eyes with her sleeve. Margot pulled her coat tight, shaking her head in disbelief. Cole faced the camera. Theresa, you okay? Yes. Evan yelled over his shoulder. You're making a mistake! Cole spoke clearly. Get in the vehicle. Finally, they retreated. Both vehicles reversed down the driveway, tires spinning against the ice. I watched on every camera feed until they disappeared around the bend. Cole approached the door again. They'll try something else. Don't answer anything from them. I won't. I'll file an incident report tonight. Keep your cameras running. I always do. He gave a firm nod before returning to his SUV. When his headlights vanished too, the villa fell quiet again, cold and clean, untouched. I locked the door and saved the entire footage across 2 backups. They thought bringing a locksmith in the middle of the night would break me. All it did was build my case. After the second locksmith incident, I stayed awake until dawn, organizing every clip, every screenshot, every voicemail into the evidence binder. The next morning, a message popped onto my screen from an old coworker named Lucy. Lucy, Evan's at the Glen Club bragging about a new property in Pinecrest Summit. Is that your place? I stared at the text. Steady. I replied, send screenshots. 2 images came through. One showed Evan at a holiday brunch pointing at photos on his phone. The caption Lucy added, he told people the villa is a family expansion home. The second image captured him leaning back in a chair telling a waiter, we'll be hosting events up there soon. I saved both screenshots. Then another message from Lucy. Theresa, he really made it sound like he owns it. I wrote back, thank you, keep everything. I filed the screenshots into evidence, public claims. My phone vibrated again, this time a USPS alert. USPS, change of address request, pending verification. I clicked the details, forwarding requested from my home address to Pinecrest Summit Villa, requested by Evan Hale. Alternate contact, Lila Hale. I screenshot everything, header, time, tracking number. I texted Rachel immediately. They submitted a mail forwarding request. Her reply came in 3 seconds. Critical. Screenshot all screens. Print if possible. Do not interact. I already saved them. Good. They're attempting residency fraud. I printed the pages one by one, stacking them into a separate binder tab. Then my doorbell camera buzzed. Motion detected. Mailbox. I opened the feed. A man in a gray jacket leaned toward the community mailbox cluster, hood up, moving quietly. I zoomed in. Greg, Evan's father. He shoved a white envelope into my P.O. box slot, checked over his shoulder, and walked briskly back toward his truck. I hit record, then I screenshot his face, the envelope, the timestamp. Another message to Rachel. Greg just placed a document in my P.O. box. Her call came through instantly. Theresa, is the video clear? Yes. Full face. Full envelope. Send it. I forwarded everything. Rachel's voice tightened. They're establishing fake residency claims. They'll pretend mail was forwarded with your consent. That won't work. It won't, she agreed, because you documented it. Now listen carefully. I held the phone steady. We're filing a cease and desist within hours. I'll also prepare fraud notices and a no trespass motion upgrade. I'll sign everything. You'll get digital forms in 20 minutes. Good. You also need to avoid leaving the villa for long periods, she added. They might be watching for an opening. I won't give them one. Excellent. Next, check your mailbox and take photos without removing anything. I'll instruct you on handling the envelope. I'll do it now. I hung up, slipped on a coat, and stepped outside. The air was sharp and cold, but the path was clear enough. I approached the mailbox cluster and zoomed my phone camera in on my slot. A white envelope. No stamp, no USPS markings. Placed illegally. I crouched and took several photos. Close-ups, wide shots, angle shots, timestamp on screen. I texted the images to Rachel. "Perfect," she wrote. "Do not remove it. I'll notify the sheriff's office. That envelope is evidence." I walked back to the villa, locked the door, and returned to the kitchen table. My laptop dinged. New email. Cease and desist draft. Review and sign. Rachel's message read, "These documents legally bar them from approaching your property, mailbox, or mail. Digital signatures required." I clicked through each file. Cease and desist to Evan. Cease and desist to Lila. Cease and desist to Margot. Cease and desist to Greg. USPS fraud alert. No trespass motion upgrade request. I signed every document. Seconds later, Rachel confirmed. Filed. Document everything from now on. I am. Another message from Evan appeared. "Mom, we know you're upset. You're overreacting. We'll fix this." I saved it. Then Margot. "You're blowing this out of proportion. Stop making legal threats. We're coming tomorrow." Saved. Lila's message followed. "Think of the baby. This isn't healthy." Saved. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened the camera feeds again. Driveway, porch, deck, garage. All angles clear. Snow shifting lightly, but nothing else moving. Another ding. Lucy again. "Theresa, someone at the club said Evan plans to install things at the villa this week. He told a vendor he has full access." "Name?" I asked. She sent the vendor's business card. I screenshotted it. Another message from Lucy. "Do you need a witness if this becomes, official?" "Yes," I replied. "Keep everything." I printed the card and labeled it Third-Party Claims, Evan. At 3:14 p.m., the deck camera buzzed again. Motion detected. Deck. I opened the feed. Just wind. Snow dust across the boards. But I still zoomed in on the glass door, scanning for prints. None. My phone buzzed again. Another voicemail from Margot. "You are being irrational. You've always needed guidance. We're stepping in for your safety." I forwarded the voicemail to the evidence folder. Then another voicemail immediately after. Evan. "Mom, if you just open the door for us tomorrow, we can handle everything before the weather gets bad." Saved. Lila added a text. "We're giving you the chance to cooperate." Saved. I placed the phone down and turned to the thickening stack of printed evidence. USPS Forwarding Fraud Mailbox Evidence Club claims voicemails, text threads, screenshots, camera footage. It was no longer accusation versus accusation. It was documentation versus entitlement. I opened a new binder section titled Administrative Attempts, December, and slid the printed forwarding alerts inside. Then I organized everything Rachel had filed into a separate folder labeled Legal Response, Active. A notification flashed on the laptop. Rachel. "Everything processed. Law is now in your corner. Remember, no direct confrontation." I typed back. "Understood." Another message from her followed. "And Theresa, prepare for escalation. Paper trails usually trigger emotional outbursts." "I'm ready." I ended the call and scanned the camera feeds one more time. The villa was still. No movement. Snow falling lightly. I locked the door again. Not out of fear, but routine. They had moved from physical intrusion to digital sabotage to administrative fraud, and I had moved from silence to evidence, to law. This wasn't chaos, this was strategy. New Year's Eve arrived colder than expected. Frost covered the railings, and the villa felt steady, like a place that had been defended and documented. I moved through the living room preparing mugs, blankets, and trays. Carmen had insisted on hosting a small, open-house hot cocoa night with a few people from the Ridge. "You need people around you," she told me earlier, "not because you're fragile, because you're building your ground." By 7:20 p.m., the villa was warm with soft conversation. Carmen arranged cups, Jolene organized the dessert table, Dave adjusted the music volume, and Nolan checked the window angles to ensure visibility. Carmen nudged me. "Look around. This is what support looks like." I glanced at the group. It's been a long time since my home had guests who wanted to be here. "You earned this," she replied. Nolan looked up from his mug. "Any word from your family today?" "Yes." I held up my phone. Multiple messages. Jolene leaned closer. "What now?" I opened the first text. "Evan, we'll stop by tonight. We need to talk face to face." Dave scoffed. "They're testing boundaries again." Another message from Margot. "You've made this bigger than it needs to be. We'll resolve it at the villa tonight." Carmen's expression tightened. "They're coming here?" "Most likely." "Good," Nolan muttered. "Witnesses help." I walked to the entry table and placed the binder Rachel instructed me to display. The no trespass order, the cease and desist letters, and the emergency motion upgrade. Jolene tapped the folder. "That's your shield." The doorbell camera buzzed once with a random snow alert. I checked it out of habit. Nothing yet. Then, at 8:03 p.m., the driveway camera flashed. Motion detected. Driveway. I opened the feed. 2 SUVs crawled up the ridge. Carmen whispered, "They're here." Everyone in the villa quieted instantly. The soft music continued, but no one spoke. They moved instinctively, some stepping closer to the kitchen island, others standing near the windows, all positioned where they could see the front door clearly. The SUVs parked aggressively close to the porch. Evan stepped out first, face tight. Margot followed, chin lifted. Lila stepped out last, moving slower, hand under her stomach as always. With them was another man wearing a badge sticker with Family Mediator on it. Carmen muttered, "Here we go." Evan led the group to the porch. The porch camera caught everything. He knocked hard. "Mom, open the door. We're doing this now." I tapped the doorbell speaker. "The house is occupied. Leave." The so-called mediator stepped forward. "Theresa, let me mediate. Family guidelines require cooperation." Nolan nearly choked. "Family guidelines? What is this, a cult seminar?" Margot pointed at the camera. "Theresa, you've refused our attempts to help. This silence is creating legal risk." I projected my voice through the speaker. "Everything you are doing is documented." The mediator lifted a folder. "Your silence counts as consent under family mediation protocol." Jolene's jaw dropped. "What protocol? They just made that up." I opened the front door. Not wide, just enough to be seen clearly with everyone behind me. The warm lights inside washed over the porch. Evan stiffened. "Mom, finally." I stepped fully into the doorway, holding up Rachel's legal binder. "This villa is owned by Pinecrest Haven, LLC. You have no authority over it or over me." Margot stepped forward quickly. "Theresa, that's ridiculous. We're your family." "Your claimants," I replied, "and nothing more." The mediator raised his hands. "Let's speak calmly. Her silence earlier—" I cut him off. "Silence is not consent, and I'm not silent." A figure stepped from the hallway behind me. Deputy Cole. Every face on the porch shifted. Cole walked into view with measured steps. "All of you are in violation of a court-filed no trespass order." Evan's eyes widened. "What order?" Cole lifted a document. "This one. You've been served." Margot's voice cracked. "You can't serve us at her house." "I can," Cole responded. "This is the filing address on record." He handed each envelope directly into their hands. Evan backed up a step. "Mom, what did you do?" "What you forced me to do," I answered. Lila trembled, looking between Evan and Cole. "Evan, did you know about this?" Evan ignored her. "Mom, this is insane." Cole faced him. "Your behavior triggered these orders." The mediator reached for his folder. "Officer, there is a family protocol. There is actual law," Cole interrupted. "And you have no authority here. Leave the property now." Margot snapped, "Theresa, stop pretending you're the victim." I pointed to the crowd behind me. Carmen, Nolan, Jolene, Dave, and several other neighbors who had arrived quietly. "These people watched everything tonight. You don't get to rewrite the narrative anymore." The witnesses nodded. Dave spoke clearly. "We saw your cars. We heard you at the door." Jolene added, "You're not here to help. You're here to take." Lila's shoulders dropped. Her voice shook. I didn't sign up for this." Margot gripped her arm tightly. "Lila, don't start." Lila pulled away. "I'm not raising my baby in a stolen house." Evan turned toward her. "This isn't stolen. It's hers," Lila interrupted, pointing at me. "This is her home." Silence hit the porch harder than any snow. Even the mediator stepped back. Cole finished it. "You need to leave, all of you." Margot glared at me one last time. "You think you won." I kept my tone even. "I stood where I belong." Cole motioned to the driveway. "Move, now." One by one, they retreated. The mediator stumbled down the steps first. Lila followed, wiping tears. Evan hesitated but eventually turned away. Margot lingered the longest, expression sharp enough to cut, but she turned too. The SUVs finally reversed down the ridge, disappearing into the dark. Only then did the air inside the villa release. Carmen exhaled. "Theresa, that was incredible." Nolan grinned. "You dismantled them." Jolene bumped my shoulder gently. "You didn't just protect your home, you exposed them." Dave raised his mug. "To Theresa, the bravest on Pinecrest Ridge." Everyone joined. I stepped back into the villa and closed the door. The latch clicked, not fear, authority. And for the first time in years, the people in the room weren't tolerating me. They were standing with me. The SUVs were barely out of sight before the room erupted in the soft noise of people exhaling, mugs clinking, chairs shifting. The tension that had held everyone's shoulders stiff began to drop, replaced with something warmer, steady, grounded unity. Carmen closed the door fully and checked the deadbolt. Locked. Good. Nolan glanced through the window. They're not circling back. They're gone for real. Jolene placed her hands on her hips. They didn't expect witnesses. That's why it worked. Dave raised his cup again. "I'm serious. You handled them better than any of us could have." I stepped away from the door, feeling air move freely in my chest for the first time all week. "Thank you all for being here. I didn't want to face them alone tonight." "You weren't alone," Carmen replied, "and you won't be again." Neighbors who had arrived quietly during the confrontation now gathered around the living room. Some held cocoa, some held blankets. Some simply stood with a look of respect I hadn't seen directed at me in years. Nolan pulled one of the legal folders toward him on the entry table. "This is airtight. They can't come near you now." "It's over," Jolene added. "Really over." I nodded. "Yes, the law is in place." Dave leaned forward. "How do you feel?" I considered the question carefully, like I finally stopped stepping out of the way. Carmen smiled and touched my arm. "You stepped into your own life." Everyone moved back toward the kitchen, talking softly, returning to the warmth that had been paused but not broken. I joined them, pouring myself a fresh mug of cocoa. A few minutes later, Jolene whispered, "Listen." The room quieted. Outside, the air was calm. No engines, no shouting, no footsteps. Just stillness and the soft sound of neighbors laughing behind me. Dave motioned for me to join the group gathered near the tree Nolan had helped me set up earlier. "Sit with us." I did. Someone turned the music slightly up. Light, classic, nothing dramatic. Carmen handed me a small wrapped gift. "Open it." "Carmen, you didn't need to—" "Just open it." Inside was a simple wooden ornament shaped like a tiny house with the word "belong" carved neatly across the roof. Jolene rested her chin on her hand. "That's perfect." Dave nodded. "Couldn't fit your whole story on it, but the meaning's there." I held the ornament carefully. "Thank you, truly." Carmen beamed. "Hang it when you're ready." We continued talking. Normal conversation, easy, comfortable. The kind I had spent years pretending to have at family gatherings, but never truly did. Here, it came naturally. Around 11:15 p.m., more neighbors knocked gently and came inside carrying extra baked goods and blankets. Carmen announced, "We've got room. Come in." No one hesitated. The villa wasn't quiet anymore. It was full. Full in the best way. Not crowded, not loud, just alive. At 11:30 p.m., my phone vibrated. A video call from Nana Evelyn. I stepped into the hallway to answer. Her face filled the screen, warm and steady. "I heard something in your voice earlier. Tell me what happened." "They came again," I explained. "They brought a mediator this time." She frowned. "Of course they did." I confronted them, and Cole served the no trespass orders. A slow, proud smile formed on her face. "You didn't hide. You stood in your doorway with your people behind you." "Yes." "And they left?" "They had no choice." "Good," she responded. "That family used their power against you for years. Tonight, you use truth and law against them." I nodded. It's the first time I've ever seen them run out of words. Nana lifted her mug. "To starting the new year the right way." I smiled. "To peace." Before hanging up, she added one last thing. "Honey, you built this life. Not them. Not me. You." "I know," she winked. "That's the real inheritance." The call ended. I stood for a moment in the quiet hallway, letting those words settle, not as comfort, but as fact. When I returned to the living room, the countdown on someone's phone had already begun. 10, 9, 8. Carmen handed me a mug again. "Stand with us." I stepped into the circle, surrounded by people who had shown up when it mattered. 7, 6, 5. Nolan looked at me. "Ready for a clean start?" "Yes." 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone cheered softly. Not wildly, just enough to welcome the new year with steady joy. Jolene wrapped a scarf around my shoulders. Dave tapped his mug against mine. Carmen grinned. "Theresa, welcome to the first year where you get to choose who stands at your door." I let that sentence land. Neighbors talked, laughed, shared stories. I listened, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was trying to earn a place in the room. I already had one. By 12:30 a.m., people began leaving one by one, hugging me gently, wishing me a good year. "Text if anything happens," Nolan reminded me. "You know I will." The last of them stepped outside, leaving the villa warm and soft, lights still glowing. I walked them to the door, then closed it. The deadbolt clicked firmly. Not fear, completion. I walked through the villa, turning off a few lights but leaving the porch light on. The place felt lived in, not managed, not controlled. Mine. I stepped onto the deck. The valley below was quiet, dotted with faint lights from other homes. I held the ornament Carmen gave me and hooked it onto a branch near the window. My phone buzzed once, just a camera alert picking up snow. I looked at the ridge, calm and undisturbed. I whispered the only line that felt right. "I'm exactly where I belong." And for the first time in years, it was true. When the new year finally settled over Pinecrest Summit and the last of the lights dimmed, I stood alone in my villa, quiet, steady, and finally mine. Thank you for listening to my story. If it reached you or reminded you of your own strength, I'm grateful you stayed until the end. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, stories about courage, quiet justice, and finding your place again, feel free to subscribe and stay with me for the next chapter.